there's power in taking a photograph. There's power in being an artist.
It's the Phoenix Film Revival Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Phoenix Film Revival Podcast, Halloween edition. I'm your host, Daniel Yannicone, and I have with me my lovely wife, Stacy.
Hello, hello.
And we also have a few other people with us. We have
I'm Tonissa.
She's
Yay.
back from before. She was on the podcast as well as
James David Tabor.
Nice.
this guy.
Yeah.
So Dave was also on a podcast as well with us. So
Another creepy podcast.
The abduction podcast.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. I forgot about that.
We only bring Dave in for our spooky stuff.
I am spooky.
I, for one, am strange and unusual.
we have a very special podcast for you guys today. We are recording in our humble little house here, and we're doing a fun podcast. I think Stacy can explain.
Yeah, so we're going to go over all kinds of spooky photography, and then we're also going to have a seance. So we're going to get in touch with some dead photographers, those that have passed away. Yeah, super fun. So we are ready for the seance. We're being real safe about it here. Because, spirits can be dangerous. They're like, you got to treat them as, intelligent creatures. They can do what they want. They have the freedom to do what they want. And we're kind of inviting them into our home. So we are having this in the hearth of our home, which is our living room, which is kind of the way you want to go for a seance. Because, that's sort of home team advantage.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're having a home team advantage here with having it in our house. We've made some holy oil. We've cleansed the space, so we're protected by the outside here. So that's pretty good. And we have a Ouija board, and we also have a pendulum. So we're going to use those two tools when we do this part of that. And yeah, it should be fun. I'm really excited about doing it. And if anyone sees anything crazy or weird, we're going to have to go grab some salt and start sprinkling and throwing it around and some Florida water as well. Because we have it, like I said, we're doing it. We're trying to do it as best we can. I've done Ouija, but I don't think I've ever been a part of like an actual real seance. Is any of you guys? Been a part of one?
No.
Nope.
Yeah, me neither. So as best as I could find in the internets, this is we're getting as pretty close as we can to doing it the right way. So we have our 4 elements going. We have lots of fire sitting around with our candles, and we have some crystals, and we have incense in the air for our air, and then Florida water for water. So
Nice.
Florida water's fun. If you've never smelled that, you have to smell that sometime. They've been making that since the late 1800s. It's a cologne, but they also use it in all kinds of spiritual ceremonies as well. I was excited to get some.
Is it from Florida?
That's actually a really good question. I'm not sure. I would like to think so. I know it had something to do with like I had the spring of life, like the eternal life kind of thing. It was like a deal like that. Yeah. So shout out to Curious Nature who sells Florida water. Thank you.
Oh, Curious Nature. Nice.
Yep.
I was thinking it was like the water at like It's a Small World.
Ew.
Oh, yikes.
This water smells so
Probably
much
pretty
better than that
gnarly.
water does.
Yeah.
So much
Preferred
better.
cologne by Florida Man.
Although It's a
Yeah.
Small World scared the bejesus out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not like it in there. I didn't
The
want anything to do with
animatronics.
it.
Yeah, that's creepy. All of
It's a
Disney,
scary
honestly,
place.
all of Disney like kind of scares me. I went to a work conference there like 10 years ago, and it was like 4 or 5 days. I made it one day in Disney, and I spent the rest in the hotel room because I was like, I can't take this. This place is awful. Yeah, no, something about the manufactured fun and like all the very angry, upset families and
Yeah.
I don't know. There was a mix there that I was like, it did not agree with me.
I can go there for a day and have a reasonably nice time, but I can't really do more than a day because of that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough. And I also think it was June, so I don't think it was the coolest of the
It
weather.
wasn't.
Yeah, it was pretty hot. Anywho, so interesting with photography. There, it's I was thinking Halloween. what's creepy about Halloween and photography. But then when you start digging, there's actually
There's
quite
a
a
lot.
bit
So
that's
much.
kind of creepy with photography and Halloween and just, general creepiness. So a big part of it is horror movies, suspense movies, TV. You see photography show up, and that's, digital and the old school, darkroom type stuff. And I was, looking like, okay, what movies have really highlighted that, or dark rooms or film photography. And one that we actually watched not too long ago at the lab, we had going, I forget when we had it going, but we had 1 hour photo.
Yes.
The Robin Williams
right.
movie. Do you guys remember that one?
Yeah.
I do. I saw that in the theater, and some guy brought his kid, and he left at one point, and I could hear him yelling at the kid working at the theater, right? And he was like, "This is unacceptable," and blah, blah, and he was so mad. And the kid was like, "It's rated R." And the guy was like, "It's a Robin Williams movie," as if that should have explained everything. And he just wanted a refund. I think the movie theater worker finally gave him a refund, but I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's one of those movies where if you just think Robin Williams and you don't know,
Yeah.
you're not prepared for it necessarily. But
Yeah.
Robin Williams basically plays a very mentally unstable photo developer who works in like a big box like retail type shop, and he becomes like super obsessed with like this upper middle class family, and like because he's developing all of their photos, so he kind of feels like he's a part of their family.
Yeah.
It's really disturbing when the kid comes in, maybe he's like 8 or something, the 8-year-old kid comes in and was like, yeah, my mom gave me this camera. And so he was developing his own film. And the Robin Williams character was just obsessing over the photos that the little kid took. It was a lot.
And didn't his house have like an entire wall with all of their family photos?
Yep. All of their doubles and like he was making an extra set for himself every time.
There was one shot where he does he zooms in on the manager's kid.
Oh, that's
and
right.
so when they do develop it, it was like a flip book, and it's zooming in on the kid. And I just remember like,
Oh yeah.
I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that seems crazy. Wasn't there also like a crazy scene with like a lot of blood and stuff? Like I remember there being some sort of like really trippy scene in that movie as well.
All of a sudden there's this cut and he's got blood coming out of his eyes, and it's just like so weird.
Yeah.
Super like out of the nowhere. You're
It's like a
"Wait,
Stanley
what?"
Kubrick moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie kind of starts slow and steady, and then you're like, wait, what the hell?
Yeah.
But I was like that. I was like, oh yeah, photo developer guys. But I remember photo developer guys kind of like, I always wanted that job, like the photo hut guy. Like you get to see like everybody's stuff. Like, yeah, super cool.
I think he also has the last name of Parrish, Cy Parrish.
Oh yeah.
He's
That was the
also
name, yeah.
Uncle Si.
Uncle Cy.
Uncle Si.
Uncle
But
Si.
he's also a Parrish in Jumanji.
You're right. He is Alan Parrish.
Yep.
Yeah, he's Alan Parrish in
interesting.
Jumanji.
This is the second. He has the same last name in 2 different movies.
That's
Two
weird.
very different movies.
Very
Fun
different.
fact of the day.
Yeah, like I wonder why they. That's interesting. They
That
had to
is
have known that,
interesting.
right? I mean, at least he would have known that.
I don't know. It's kind of like in horror, there's a lot of people with the last name Loomis in various horror movies, to the point where like, I think they're doing it on purpose now. For sure in Scream, they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
But before that, there were like 4 or 5 other movies where somebody's last name was Loomis.
I think I have a cousin named Loomis.
Better watch out.
I'm pretty certain I do. Oh, goodness. So there was another movie that I found, and I've never seen it, and I wonder if you guys have seen it. It's called Camera Obscura. Does it sound familiar to you guys?
I think so.
So I was reading about it, and now I got to watch it, but it sounds just awful. But at the same time, I'm like, I kind of want to watch it. I was like,
Awful in the best way possible.
yeah, there was a guy that was a war photographer, and he was shooting, and he didn't want to shoot anymore when he came back from the war. And then his girlfriend bought him this vintage camera, and he apparently shot like all this film on it and then sent it to a lab, and then the lab caught fire. And then all of a sudden, all of his black and white film turned into color film. And then all the pictures were showing people that hadn't died yet, but were in the photos. So it was like some sort of crazy, like,
So that's what's
these
on
people are going to die, like kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
That's what's on the Remjet.
Apparently, your black and white goes to color, and apparently they're time stamped as well.
Wow.
And I was like, nice. What they can do.
How convenient.
How convenient, yeah. But I was like, oh, camera obscura, that's got to be cool. And then I read the synopsis. And I'm like, what is that? I'm assuming it didn't do very well.
I'll check that out though.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to see it now. I'm like, I can't not look at it. But there was another one that was sort of recent, Polaroid. You guys seen Polaroid?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that one's another one that I've heard thrown out there.
The story of a haunted Polaroid camera.
Amazing.
So that one in a similar vein. So they take a photo and there's a shadow that passes through the photo. And the person that the shadow is with, that person dies. And then the next person on the next photo gets the shadow.
Kind of like VHS.
The shadow comes into the next one and then that kills the next person. I did actually watch a little bit of that online. I was like kind of checking it out. And there was an end scene that was kind of cool. It was in a dark room. And like the girl that's like, I guess the main character, she kills him by taking his picture with the Polaroid camera and then crumpling up the photo, which like crumples him up and then setting the Polaroid on fire.
Wow.
And I'm like, I've seen this and I can't quite put it together, but I know that's been in another movie. I was like, oh, they ripped that off from something. And I couldn't quite come up with what it was.
Like Ring-esque.
It's similar. Yeah, it's got a vibe. But
it makes me think of the Take On Me video and crumples the comic book page.
Yep. And then, of course, the one that kind of recently has actually kind of helped us in a little bit, I guess, in a way, Stranger Things.
Yep, Stranger Things.
Yeah, they had the scenes like with the dark room when Jonathan's in the dark room. And it became like a really big thing when the lady... there's a lady that posted up online about it, asking like, what the hell is that? Like she was so confused by the red light. And it became like a thing, like whenever it came out. And her quote with, when she posted up, it said, we frequently see Jonathan go inside to quote unquote, refine his photos or something. I don't quite understand what happens here. He somehow puts the photo in water and somehow makes it clear. An example in the first season when he refines Barbara's photo and sees a little bit of the Demogorgon. Is this an old film technique? If so, what's it called?
Like
developing.
Like, wow. Not that old that's that old.
That was the sentiment that a lot of people online had because people were posting like mummies and corpses. I'm this old now. Like,
right, yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of nice to see that in Stranger Things. I don't know if the last season showed any of that. I think it was just like the first couple that they showed him in the dark room when he was doing.
So are people coming to darkroom classes saying, well, I saw this on Stranger Things?
We've gotten comments where people will say like, I saw this, like it's a thing, and they don't know it's a thing, and then they go read about it. They look online. They're like, what is the darkroom that he's in? What's he doing in there? He's a photographer. And then they realize there's this other part of photography that they never knew existed because they've never been
because they've always had digital or their cell phone.
It's never and I'm thinking like even back when I was growing up, I didn't know much about dark rooms. That wasn't like a popular necessarily thing. My mom actually worked in a photo lab for a while, but I didn't know to the extent that I know now about it. So even thinking kids now really don't know. That makes sense.
The first dark room I saw was on The Odd Couple.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's amazing.
One of them was a photographer, and that was part of his clips.
Yeah.
So but yeah, that was never weird to me. Like I can't think of a time when I didn't know what that wasn't.
I saw it in Funny Face. Have you guys ever seen Funny Face?
No,
it's Fred Astaire and Audrey Hepburn.
No.
So Fred Astaire is basically a loose representation of Richard Avedon. And he's photographing Audrey Hepburn, who is a reluctant model. She doesn't really want to be a model. And so at one point...
I'm so ugly.
I know, right? At one point, she escapes the... like beauty people who are trying to like zhuzh her up, right? And she runs into a room and he's like, hey, didn't you see the light on? And then like he's in his dark room and it's a whole thing. They do a dance.
Nice. Dan, were you aware of dark rooms?
Well, yeah. I mean, I took a dark room. I took film photography 101 in high school. So
that was your first
knowing
what it was. And
I would say so. And before that, I mean, I didn't really understand it, but after that, I was like, oh, okay. But then I didn't fully understand the darkroom because I continued developing film in my bathroom in complete darkness, not realizing that you're okay to do it. Yeah. So I didn't comprehend it completely.
No, I get you. When I first developed my own film, like the lid on the container confused the fuck out of me because I was like, wait, how is it light tight? Like if I'm pouring in these chemicals, this thing looks open. And I was like, I didn't realize it was light tight without the lid. Yeah. Like I was like, wait, what? Like there's some step I missed. And I'm like, wait, is this supposed to be in darkness completely? And I remember like the first time I did it, I like had the lid on and I just popped it open a little bit and poured the chems in because I wasn't real confident that it was light safe the way it was without the lid.
That's funny.
I wish I would have had it in high school, but I went to Podunk High School. We didn't have photography. That wasn't there was like FHA and stuff. If you were into cows or like homemaking, you were set. I was actually in Future Homemakers of America.
Nice.
I was in the Vocational Industrial Clubs of America.
Oh, that's probably a fun one.
VICA. Yeah.
That one sounds great. We didn't have that. Yeah. I would have been signed up for that. Anything like like the home ec, like we literally, it was my first, like I had home ec as my first period. So we just cooked breakfast. And then I had my after club, which was Future Homemakers America. And we just cooked. So it was like, we were just like making food like all the time. Like, oh, let's make cupcakes. It was pretty good. I didn't care if I was a homemaker or not, but.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I was in band.
Band's pretty good. I was in band briefly when I was younger, but I remember having a very angry band teacher that was like very mean to everyone. I'm like, I don't want to be a part of band anymore.
I was in media communications and outdoor activity club.
What the hell is what's outdoor activity club? Is
any,
that just
any activity outdoors?
You guys just meet in the lawn?
In a club for. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I was in a hiking club. It just sounds similar.
Hiking club sounds like you're actually doing something. That club dance a part of sounds like you guys just go out in the grass and sit there.
It was just an excuse to wear camouflage. It really was.
Dan his nickname through high school was Camo Dan.
Yep.
If you look at his yearbook, it says Camo Dan all over
amazing.
it.
Most likely to get lost in the woods. That certificate my senior year. But I do remember making a commercial for Outdoor Activity Club where my brother and I had collected all these Christmas trees and lined them up in our backyard. So it made it look like you were in a forest.
Oh, wow.
And we had chickens. So we were like trying to explain. The commercial was like ridiculous, but we basically were like, man, I wish I knew how to eat and forage. And then my brother kind of like chucked this, we were recording this commercial thing. He like tossed this chicken in the scene. And all of a sudden there's this chicken just wandering around. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember what this guy told me, which was the Outdoor Activity Club. And
oh my goodness.
And then all of a sudden, like with some, stop animation, there's like suddenly a burger in the frying pan.
A burger from the chicken?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, chicken burger.
There for a minute, I thought you were like, and then I killed the chicken on.
I know.
Did your family eat your chickens or they were just decorative chickens?
They were just decorative chickens.
That's what I thought. I had a feeling they'd be just decorative chicken.
We ate
That
the chicken
needs
eggs.
to be a band name.
Decorative
chicken. That is a good band name. Yes, I like that.
Yeah.
Are those the same trees that you lit up on your fire on your lawn?
No,
they were different. Okay,
those were different ones. Well, actually,
trees.
they may have been because we took them to my cousin's house and caught them on fire. So
okay, because I remember.
Did you guys just randomly go around the neighborhood and just take people's trees?
They were just. It was after Christmas, so people were throwing their Christmas trees up.
So Dan is like collecting all of the trees of Arcadia.
Probably not the best thing considering bed bugs and stuff like that. But
I don't know about on Christmas. Did they live on Christmas trees?
Well, not after we lit them on fire.
There's like a fun 15 seconds after lighting a Christmas tree on fire where you're getting ready to fill out your homeowner's policy.
Right, yeah.
They go up.
They go up.
And then it dies
fast.
down. I'm like, oh, yay. Okay.
My cousin, his neighbor called him first and said, hey, do I need to call the fire department? or are you good? And he was like, no, we're just burning Christmas trees in the backyard.
They go up incredibly quick. Yeah, we had one here last year or year before, whatever it was, Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And we had it and we put it in the backyard because I didn't realize that Phoenix doesn't pick up Christmas trees anymore. You have to take them somewhere.
You got to take them to our neighborhood.
Oh.
I did not know that. And I was like, this tree was dry. I was like, I am not putting all those needles in my car. So I just popped out in the backyard here and it just sat there for months. And I'm like, I should probably get rid of this. And I decided to light it up. And I was unaware.
Well, that's why there's so many accidents at Christmas time, because if you get a spark anywhere near that thing and it's not watered properly.
Yeah, I have a newfound fear for Christmas trees.
Yeah. Ugh.
Goodness. But this is Halloween.
It's all
Yeah, sorry. I'm jumping ahead like Target.
very Christmas.
You are
Jumping
Target.
ahead like Target.
Yeah, Target actually has the Christmas stuff
I
out
know,
right
I
now,
saw
right
it.
beside the.
So does
I
Big
feel
Lots.
I feel a little bit bad for Thanksgiving because it's like there's no
I
Thanksgiving in
know.
between. It's literally just like Halloween to Christmas.
We
but
had a
yeah.
high of 104 today, and there's Christmas stuff.
It doesn't make any sense. Oh goodness. So I also wanted to touch on spirit photography, because spirit photography is definitely, a thing. So the goal of spirit photography is really to capture, entities or ghosts or, what have you. I think most of the time though, it's just like, dust or hair or fingers or straps, and people kind of misinterpret, I guess. But certainly some people have gone like pretty hog on spirit photography. I think there's some today people like there's, that are doing that.
Don't they use a special camera to get it?
There's aura photography, which is kind of in the same vein.
Yeah.
But there's also like you can get apps for your phone for spirit photography, which is kind of crazy. There's actually for ghost photography, there's specific apps for that. And I read somewhere there was like 250 apps like that you can basically put like a ghost into your phone, like onto your photos.
Well,
which is ridiculous.
I thought of this when I was reading the show notes beforehand. Do you remember there was a woman that was for sure that she saw her dead son in 3 Men and a Baby?
Oh yes, I remember that completely.
Yes.
Yeah,
and we watched it a bunch of times, and we saw the guy. So here's the thing: what it is it's like a
cardboard cutout of Ted Danson.
It's like a prop piece that is in the back. But we thought we saw a guy in the movie the window, and so we watched it at a slumber party, and we were like, "Oh my god, there he is!" like freaking out.
I remember my mom rented 3 Men and a Baby, and when we got to that scene, she was taking like flash Polaroids.
Oh my gosh.
TV.
We didn't go that far.
No.
We just paused it and we were like, oh my gosh, do you guys all see that? You see that?
Yeah. I think at some point, like, somebody just really wanted to get the rental sales of 3 Men and a Baby up or something. I don't know what it was.
I don't know.
But I was trying to think, like, that was the first like spectral photography that I had heard of.
That was a huge thing culturally, which is weird because back then we didn't have like the internet and stuff to talk about.
Right. So it's interesting that it made it that far.
Everybody knew about it. Like you mentioned that, and like I was like, oh yeah, I remember
There's
that.
also the Munchkin hanging in Wizard of Oz.
Right.
Yes. I don't know if that's ever been
that was
proven.
I'm sure that wasn't real.
Yeah, I don't remember what they said it actually was, but the rumor was that it was
There was a lot of munchkins.
person who worked on set
They did a lot
had
of weird
hung
stuff.
himself. Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't need that tall of a tree.
Oh my. Did you just go there?
Dave just went there. Offending all of our little person listeners.
Wow.
The technical aspect about it,
It is true, though. He's not wrong.
I'm wrong.
It's true. He's not wrong.
It's true. Oh my goodness. But yes, that actually does sound like my first as well. Like I would say, because that was what year? Oh my gosh, I'm going to say early 90s, maybe late 80s.
Yeah.
Like that was why you got a VCR.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Like you would
exactly.
rent the VCR and 3 Men and a Baby.
Yeah, be like that, or playing like the Led Zeppelin backward or whatever. Like it was all like in that vein.
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta do this.
Or the sinking of
Dark
Side of the Moon.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Oh goodness. But there was a first guy that like actually was fooling a lot of people with spirit photography, and obviously it was back when photography was new, so people didn't know any better and they didn't know how he was getting it. Nowadays, like people, you're like, oh please, and it's a lot harder to fake it. But back in 1869, there was a guy named William Mumler, and he actually started doing spirit photography on purpose to kind of like hype himself up. And his first photo that he put out was actually supposed to be of his cousin who died like 12 years prior to that. And he became very, very popular. He actually was a spirit photographer medium. He actually took a picture of Mary Todd Lincoln, supposedly.
Wow.
With Abe Lincoln. Like,
Yeah.
so you can find that picture online, and it's just her sitting there, and there's like a vague Abe Lincoln like behind her. He was super famous and super busy, and then he was found out to be a fraud like within the year, though.
Sure.
You know, it did not take long for people to get onto him. And of all people who testified against him, because people were pretty pissed about it,
Yeah.
P.T. Barnum,
Oh,
of
wow.
all people, actually testified
What?
against him. And he actually, which I thought was hilarious, he took advantage of people's grief.
Oh my goodness.
Coming from P.T.
Coming from
Barnum.
him, yeah.
Wasn't that the pot calling the kettle black?
Seriously.
That is terrible.
Right? I was like, wow, of all people to like have something to say about that. He was just jealous, I think.
Probably.
He's like, this
He
guy's
was
more of a
man,
shyster
I wish
than I
I
am.
thought of it.
Yeah, seriously.
He really did. He was like, damn it. Like I bet it's probably exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Mueller, nothing really came from it. They charged him, but he was acquitted. So they just let him go like, well, you know, who did he really hurt?
Yeah.
And then he just moved into regular photography. But he had his brief shining moment in the late 1800s that people were certainly excited about. But it's still going on to this day. There's still people doing it for sure. There was a guy in France, and he was also pretty popular at the time as well. And he used to take dolls and put faces on them. He'd take pictures of people and put
That's
on
terrifying.
the dolls, and then wrap the dolls in like gauze in his photos.
Oh my gosh.
Terrifying. I was like, that sounds just like terrifying. I think probably very artful though. I kind of want to like see a whole collection of his photos. They probably look kind of amazing, right?
It's kind of like a meat yard.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Meat yard vibes for sure. Yeah. And then there's also obviously the ghost photography. You know, and the big difference with ghost photography and spirit photography, the spirit photography often would be like, you know, in a studio or in a seance. It would have that. And then ghost pictures are more in haunted locations. So you're not really ghost picturing when you're bringing it, you know, you're not bringing them to you. You're going to the place that they exist. And traditionally haunted, you know, ghost photography are places that are haunted by the dead, and they're still walking around doing their own thing. But in general, most ghost photography, at least that I've seen, and I know that Ghost Hunter show has been on for like,
Ever.
I'm going to say 20 some years. I think it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
20 some seasons. And they never seem to find anything. It's always like indistinct shapes or like orbs that could just be light or
Sure.
dust
Right.
or anything. But it's interesting with ghost stuff. And it wasn't until I moved here to Arizona that I realized how hyped people were for ghosts. I mean, certainly the East Coast has like ghost tours and things like that. But
Yeah.
the sheer amount that's in Arizona is kind of amazing. And I was looking at kind of a list of like the famous-y kind of places, and I realized that we've actually stayed at 3 of the 4 places that I like are like the main places.
Hotel Monte Vista. And
Nothing's
Vista.
happened. Yeah, so you got Flagstaff at the Hotel Monte Vista.
Yep.
Nothing happened there. It was a nice hotel though. I did like staying there. It was small though. It was like the smallest bathroom in the world. It's like
Yeah,
the
because
size
it's from
of
the
like
30s or something,
it's like
or
a
the
teeny,
20s.
even earlier, I think like late 1800s. I think it was like a
Yeah.
pioneer type thing. Yeah, it's really old, and like the shower's like a closet, like not even a closet. Like it's one of those ones where you could go to bathroom, wash your hands, and take the shower all at the same time kind of rooms. I remember the bathroom being really small, but we didn't see anything there. And then we went to the Grand Hotel in Jerome,
Right.
and that was only like haunted by filth and management neglect.
Okay. Yeah.
Man, she got most of our money back for that stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. We had there was a big tub, and we turned the water on, and no water went into the tub, but it went into the floor.
That was Bisbee.
Was that the Bisbee one? Am
That
I getting
was
them
Bisbee.
confused? Oh, that was the Copper Queen. I'm getting them confused. We haven't stayed at the Grand Hotel. That's in Jerome. That's the big one. I haven't
That's the
actually
one
stayed
I've
in
been
there.
to.
I've walked in there, and I had a friend that
Yeah.
was eating, and I was with her, but I haven't stayed there. But the Copper Queen. Sorry, Bisbee. I didn't mean to.
Yep.
bestige your
Sorry,
hotel.
Jerome. We
Yeah,
meant
sorry,
Bisbee.
Sorry, Jerome. We meant Bisbee. But Bisbee, your Copper Queen, what the hell is going on over there? But once again, they're supposed to be haunted. I didn't see anything other than the filth, but maybe that was a ghost. I don't know.
We saw Orion there.
We did see Orion.
Orion
and
is
kind of,
nice from down there.
yeah, Orion's kind of like a ghost. You see him one
He
minute,
hangs out with them.
he leaves. He comes and goes. You never know when you're going to see Brian. I think he's back though.
Yeah.
He is in Phoenix now.
He has returned.
We haven't seen him, but we know he's here. And then Tucson has Hotel Congress.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's haunted?
Yeah, it's supposed to
Apparently.
be.
Ish. Oh.
Haunted-ish. Yeah. But I haven't seen anything.
I
Have
don't
you guys
remember
seen
who
anything?
is supposed to be haunting that one, because I know that it's the hotel where they captured Dillinger, but I don't think he's supposed to be haunting it.
Not him. Have you guys seen
don't know.
anything questionable? Ghosts or anything?
And the San, what's the one down here in downtown Phoenix?
Oh,
San
yeah.
Carlos?
You're right. The San
Oh, yeah.
Carlos. I heard that as well. And also the theater is supposed
Oh,
to be
yeah,
as
the
well.
Orpheum.
Orpheum?
The Orpheum is supposed to be.
The Orpheum is so beautiful, though. It's
It is.
such a nice theater.
It is. High class ghosts.
High class ghosts.
Yeah.
The Coronado.
They hold their pinkies out.
Coronado?
The old Coronado, which is now like a cartel coffee, the one's on
Oh, yeah.
like yeah,
Oh.
that was haunted. We would have stories of like candles lighting up like in the middle of the night, like weird noises, stuff like that. We always thought about when I worked there getting like the ghost adventurers people out there, but then
Nice.
In a coffee shop.
yeah, but no, but like if you invite those people over to your restaurant, then you're not serving food, and that's how you
Yeah.
make money. So
Right.
Yeah,
so we
that
never
makes
did
sense.
it. But
I heard Gamage is supposed to be haunted, but I never saw anything.
Interesting. Yeah, but there's so many supposedly haunted places here in Arizona. I'm not sure how it ended up like that.
I think it's the Wild West stuff. So I asked somebody about it one time, and I think it has something to do with all of the Wild West business that was going on down here, and just the sheer amount of people dying all the time from shootouts and whatnot.
Yeah.
existing.
Right, just from existing.
Life's hard. So
Yep.
My work has been there's been a couple times I've been there late and there's nobody there and I hear things and I'm just like, what the heck? We actually had one of the people that work in the print department went through and saged the entire building one evening.
Oh, wow.
He's like cruising through with like the sage. I'm like, all right.
I had a situation in my house one time when I was a kid. I lived in Tucson. I lived in a house with a bunch of roommates, but all of those roommates were in a band together and they were all at the studio. And I was on the phone with one of my friends and I was like, okay, I'm going to meet you in, a little bit. Let me just take a shower really quick and then I'll leave the house, right? So I hang up the phone and while I was talking to her on the phone, I walked around and made sure all the doors were locked because I was about to hop in the shower, right? So I hang up the phone, I get in the shower, I get out of the shower and I open the bathroom door and I'm looking outside because the side door was wide open. And I looked around and every door that I could see was wide open. And I just ran for that opened the door and I grabbed the phone on my way out because it was a cordless. So I'd left it near the bathroom. So I just picked up the phone and ran outside with my towel because I was like, what the heck? And 5 minutes later or something, one of my friends came home because they had forgotten something that they needed at the studio. And I said, were you just here a minute ago? He's like, no, I just got here. And I was like, why are all the doors open? He's like, I don't know. What have you been doing? And like, including a door to a storage area that you had to have a key for was also open. So like everything was wide open and we never figured out what it was. And when all the roommates came home later that night, they were like, what's all this laundry in the washer? There was laundry in the washer that didn't belong to anybody in the house. So like originally I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is a ghost. Some ghost came through and opened every single door in the house and was super freaked out about it. And then later I was like, maybe a like unhoused person came into the house and tried to do their laundry. But why did they open every door? So
why did they leave
it's
the laundry?
so confusing.
That is confusing.
It was really freaky.
Oh, that's strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old doors.
Yeah, we never
Doors
figured it
open.
out.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy. I'd say you had a ghost encounter.
I think maybe I did.
I heard Bigfoot once. That's as close as I've gotten
Nice.
to anything like that. And that was, and I did hear him. I didn't see him. My ex saw him, but I heard him. And we were in Oregon. Oh no, we were in Washington State. We were right on the border. We were in that valley there between the two. And we were staying in Washington State and we were taking a walk through the woods. And it's through the county that like Bigfoot's supposed to be the most popular county that he's in all of the like country. and we were walking through the woods, and my ex was in front of me by like maybe 5 feet or something like that. And I heard the noise, and it sounded like something enormous was pounding down. Like they got up. Like it sounded like something got up and then like pounded their way away. And it sounded terrible. And then my ex was ahead of me, and he said he saw it, and he just like screamed and ran past me. Like
just leaves you to fend for yourself.
He just left me there. And I was like, wait, what just happened? What just happened? And then he was like way away by the time like I caught up with him. He's like, hell no. He's like, I think I just saw Bigfoot. And he's like, he saw it. And he's like, he said he saw like, it looked like a upstanding, like a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But I heard it, and I was like, I think we maybe had a Bigfoot encounter. I'm not sure. I kind of wish I saw it too, but I heard enough. I was like, I don't like that.
I'm going to go back the other way.
I'm going to go the other way. So I believe in Bigfoot now. So ghosts aren't too far away from that.
Right?
Another cryptid, you know.
Just another cryptid.
My brother and my dad went camping, and I think they were in a separate tent, or maybe I didn't go with them that time, but my dad and brother were like, yeah, there was something outside of our tent, and it was like right over the tent. We can hear it breathing.
Oh, wow.
And then it left, and I was like, what? And I don't see them both making up the story, so whatever it was, I mean, it could have been some drunk dude from a different camp that came over and was like, is this my tent? You know, thinking in his head or something, but I don't know. That just seems really creepy. Yeah.
My grandmother, I just remember my grandmother, and well, it was my brother's grandmother. So my mother's ex-husband and his mother back in the 70s were driving through rural Pennsylvania, and they supposedly had a UFO land right in front of their car. Oh. And they swore up and down that that's what had happened. They both like vouched for it, and they like never veered from that story. Huh. I just remembered that. I think I should have remembered that for our UFO thing. But no, like they used to be like, no, 100%.
Oh my God. Oh, just kidding. It's an Amazon guy. It's an Amazon guy, everyone.
We have ghosts right now.
Sorry, it's really dark in here, and I saw a shadow go by the window. It scared me a little.
Just Amazon.
Just Amazon.
Sorry.
Just Amazon. We planned that.
I got all excited.
I'm sorry.
I was like, oh.
It really did give me a start.
It's just Stacy buying more Halloween decorations.
I just didn't expect the Amazon person at like 8:05.
We're getting haunted right now.
Didn't expect him to be from Amazon.
Oh my God, that'd be so sad if you become a ghost and you still got to be an Amazon.
You still got to deliver
guy.
Amazon.
That's
like, a terrible afterlife.
That really is.
It's like the Titanic.
Like the Sixth Sense. You just for Amazon.
Yeah.
They don't even know they're dead.
The scene where all the people on the boat, they're still servants.
Oh yeah, the end of Titanic. Yeah, they're still terrible. Like, I'm still a maid.
Right?
I'm glad you're happy though.
That gives me Beetlejuice vibes, you know, all the people with the terrible jobs.
Seriously. Yeah. Oh my God. Dick. Funny. Like it. I was thinking, I'm like, something terrible is going to happen tonight, and like we're just going to be like, was that a ghost, or was that just something bad that happened?
Right.
Like, something to like crash over here or something. Oh my goodness. So another form of photography, hidden mother photography. Are you guys familiar with hidden mother photography?
Yes, I've seen a bunch of that. It's super creepy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have no clue what that is.
So back in the day when photos took a little bit of sitting, like, you know, you still had a fairly good, you know, it wasn't super slow. A lot of people think, oh, you had to sit there for minutes. You didn't have to sit there for minutes. But sometimes in a studio situation, you would have to sit there for a couple seconds because light isn't, you know, what it is today that we can make them so they're instantaneous. So children don't stay still very well, like, you know, small ones. Yeah. So the mothers would want just a photo of their child, and they wouldn't want to be in the photo. So there's this whole series of photos, and the mother's hidden. So the mother's either like the chair, or she's wearing like the background,
okay,
or she's wearing like a towel,
So it's like kabuki theater with their own children.
Yes. So she's like trying to pretend she's just a part of the background and a part of like a chair.
Yeah.
And then the child is being held by her. So they'll like very subtly hold them. But the photos look deranged.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is.
The mom, they call them hidden mother, but the mother is not hidden very well.
No.
Like you're just looking at it, you're like, what the hell is
the mother looks like a serious specter holding a child, and you're kind of like, what is that scary thing?
They look way more screwed up than they intended to look in the first place.
I could see myself doing that with my Lucy doll. I'm the hidden mother.
That would be amazing. I really feel like you need to do that.
Wow.
Hold still, Lucy.
And some of them are unnerving because like they're in a dark chair and then the mother's wearing like a black shroud over her, and then the hands are still underneath the shroud holding the child, and it looks like some crazy entity is, gotten a hold of this child. It's wild.
Yeah, it's interesting where they're like, well, this is the right way to do it. I'm like, I think you should have just been in the photo.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
You just pulled apart one of your tintypes, and you can see that the mother's hidden in it.
So whenever I get a tintype, and a lot of the time they'll come in the case, and if you're very careful, you can pull those apart. So they have a little metal piece, they have the glass piece, they have the tintype, and then they have the case.
Right.
So you can very easily pull those apart. I pull them back because I like to see if they have the stamp in there, because there's like a tax stamp that comes with a lot of those that shows that they were paid. And also you don't get to see the full image when they have the metal around them. So I like to pop them open and kind of see. And we have one that's a tintype, and you can see the mother.
Oh, wow.
You can't see it with it the way that it currently is in the thing, but if you pull it open off to the side, sure enough, there's a mom hanging out there.
Oh my gosh.
So they cropped it in the way that you can't see it like deranged like a lot of these look.
Yeah.
So they did a really good job. The photographer, like, he kind of knew what he was doing, like, so you can't tell. But it wasn't until I popped that open recently, I was like, oh, wow, okay.
Did it kind of freak you out when you opened it? Like,
a little bit. I'm like, oh, there's a mom. Yeah, so we saw one recently, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. But that photographer,
they knew what they were doing.
He knew what he was doing, because you cannot tell right now as it's packaged.
Nice.
Unless you have to actually open it up, which most people don't open them. But I don't recommend you open those up. It's best to keep them. You have to and you open it up, you got to do it very, very slowly, very piece by piece, and you don't want to screw anything up on it. We have a daguerreotype that we have as well. And I'm very careful with that, because daguerreotypes can be scratched super duper easy. And that's 100% why they're under glass, because if they're not under glass, they'll pretty much get destroyed. So you do have to be careful. If you pull those things apart, you could really mess it up. Very cool. The other photography this one sort of disputed how much of it exists out there, postmortem photography.
Oh, yeah.
So these are always kind of fun. And a lot of people think that, in the post-mortem photography really was, people that were taking photos of dead loved ones to remember them. And that comes in a lot of different forms. You have people that are in coffins and at their actual funerals. We have a few examples here on our wall. Actually, when you walk into our house, I have a couple people that are in their coffins, like they're getting,
Why have I never noticed that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're on our wall over there. So, and we also have a couple grave digger digging a grave in one of the photos as well, which is fun. But that was pretty common, like at a funeral, especially someone of like importance. Yeah. They would take a picture of the coffin and they would see them. But there was this other subset of photos for people, that didn't have a photo of somebody, and it was often children. Photography was pretty accessible. It wasn't super duper expensive. So most people in general could get a photo of their loved one. But there was certainly people that, you have a child or a small baby and they're stillborn. They never had a chance to get a photo of them. Right. And it was like their one and only shot of having any kind of memory of them.
I know people who do that now.
They do. Yeah. Stillborn photography is 100% a thing. Yeah. And I've noticed that Instagram apparently does not give a shit. Like, I've seen so many dead babies. I don't know how the algorithm got me on this, but I have so many dead babies to show up on my Instagram. I was
I set it close to my phone, so now I will be.
I know, right?
Welcome. Yeah. Welcome to the world of dead babies on Instagram. And people they try to do it like it's an expression of grief. And I get it. I get it. Yeah. But to share it with the rest of us, I don't get that part of it. But
before social media, there was a man who used to deliver things to my work. And when he would come in, we would chit chat a lot because we had to wait for the warehouse people to do a thing and stuff had to be signed or whatever. So we would chit chat a lot, and he was very excited to tell me about, their upcoming baby. And when the baby was stillborn, they took a photo of the baby, and then he brought it in to show me.
Wow.
So I think it's just a part of the grief processing.
Yeah, I think
to
so,
share the photo. Yeah, because they're kind of like everyone else gets to share the photos of their kids.
Why can't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just very stark when you're on Instagram looking at a bunch of like funny cat videos, and then all of a sudden,
if you're not expecting it, for sure.
wait, did I just see that?
I saw a photo once. Somebody spelled out the word love with the umbilical cord.
Wow.
And I was like, gross.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. That's pretty gross. But I get it. I totally get it. And I'm like, I've obviously, if anyone's been in our home, they know like we're a little morbid around here, so it doesn't bother me. But in general, like to show it on Instagram of like, I don't know if your target audience wants to, is on there. I don't know.
It is interesting if you have like an open account and something goes viral and then people, you're no longer sharing it with your close people, you're sharing it with the world.
Just everybody. Yeah. It just comes as like, it's just very like, I'm like, whoa, okay. And then I'm like, is that allowed on Instagram? I guess so, because I've seen enough of it where I'm like, okay. But back in the day, there was a lot of that. And a lot of people collect, anyone that collects old photography, there's niches of stuff that you collect as far as photography. People do tintypes, daguerreotypes, things like that, just old photography. But postmortem photography is one of those ones where you can get a lot of money, and they cost a lot if you can actually find one. Oh. But the problem is proving it that it was one.
Right.
Can be really difficult. Most of the time, the children were actually just sleeping. Most, like 95% of what's out there that's being sold as postmortem photography, indeed is not. Where they're alive and well, and they weren't actually dead. It was just either they're sleeping or they just look very peaceful. Especially finding the ones that tell tale and they kind of give it away. There's one that I've seen recently, and it was very obvious because the parents were a little blurry, both of them. Not a lot, but just enough. But the daughter was not holding anything up, and she was crystal clear. And she looks like she was she had to have been maybe 16, 17. So she was a little bit older, but they
like a teenager?
Like a teenager.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And she was in between the two parents, but the two parents were like, they had a blur and then she did not, but she also had that vacant, eyes open, mouth kind of agape.
Oh, interesting.
Not holding herself up. Like you can tell they kind of had her propped up and she was just kind of hanging out there. So she wasn't, but that was one where you're like, okay, that's probably real. But the other ones that they're just really not. I mean, there was a lot of logistics to doing this. You had to be either able to get to a studio right away. I mean, you have there wasn't,
Yeah, there's not a lot of time
in
between.
Time.
Yeah.
People get a little weird, So, a lot of the home funerals were definitely a thing and home viewings and things like that. So you'd have to have someone come out to you a lot of the time for that kind of thing. But it's interesting if you go on eBay or Etsy or any of those and you look up postmortem photography, and a lot of it, you're like, nope. And people have to be very careful about what they buy. And if there's a story or a name or something attached to it, it certainly makes it a little better. You can figure it out.
Right.
But yeah, that's interesting that it kind of died off a little bit with some of that, minus the stillborn stuff.
Right. Now I think if you went to a funeral and you asked to take a photograph, unless it was a celebrity and it was an AP photographer was there, I think if you went to your aunt's funeral and you wanted to take a picture, people would think you were crass.
Yeah, it feels awkward. I've never gone to a viewing and thought I want to, pop out the camera, take a picture of somebody. But at the same time, some people, I mean, I guess everyone grieves a little bit differently as well.
Right.
But if you have someone that is somewhat famous and they have a really coming out, and a lot of people are there, you kind of want to see that. Some of the funeral photography that I've seen, it's interesting. Bela Lugosi, it's interesting.
Right.
They put him in the outfit, even though he technically didn't want to be in the outfit, but they put him in the outfit. And that's kind of a weird one. And J.G. Allen.
G.G. Allen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whoa, that one. That one's...
I don't think I've ever seen that photo.
Oh, whew, it's rough. He's not processed.
Oh, wow.
He looks rough. People were throwing drinks at him, and he's filthy and bloated.
Wow.
He it's the suitable going out for that man.
Yeah. I mean,
he went out in his funeral looking just as good as he did on stage.
So I had a coworker that grew up in the same hometown in Michigan that he passed away in, and like it was one of those things. He was like the local scared straight story. Like the parents would be like, you know what? If you even smoke a cigarette, you're gonna end up like that weird Weegee guy.
is that it?
No, I can't say it for him.
Yeah, so he was like this cautionary tale in this small town in Michigan. Is like, if you even think about doing drugs, you're gonna end up like that guy.
He was the extreme of drugs, but
Yeah.
his whole funeral was like a total party. But people had photos; they were posing in the photos with him.
Yeah,
at
I'm
the
seeing
funeral.
that. Yeah.
like that was like a big thing. So it's like it depends, I think, a little bit on your friend group. You guys can feel free to but I want to be thrown into a volcano, so you guys all have to find the volcano to pop
Nice.
into. But feel free; I'm giving you full permission. You guys can take pictures of my dead corpse. I don't care.
Nice.
Like,
I'm gonna turn you into a pinhole.
Thank you. Seal me up. Where's the pinhole going to be? Is this the top end or?
Wow. They just pop out one of your eyes and then put a shutter on there.
There you go.
I mean, you could make a twins lens reflex
That's
out of
true.
a skull, right?
You really
true.
could. You
That's
really
true.
could.
Yeah.
The stereo cam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You just got really excited.
I did.
Like, wait a second.
I just remembered this other photographer who just kind of popped into my head. He actually shot with a lot of dead people. He actually used corpses as posed them and took photos of them.
Oh, really?
Joel Peter Whitkin.
Oh.
So
I
definitely.
don't know about this guy. So this was what year was this, give or take?
He was born in 1939. He's an
Okay.
American photographer who
So this
lived
is
in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Like 60s-ish? So he was an adult, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I would say about the 60s.
Were these people he knew?
He's 84 and he's still alive today.
Oh, so we can't ask him anything.
Podcast guest? Is he's
Yeah,
alive?
we can't ask him anything tonight, but we can.
So he
maybe
did
reach
this
out
as
to
an
him.
artistic thing, or he went to family photos?
That
Like,
was
what was
his
the
thing.
just showing up at funerals and taking
Did
pictures
he
with the
have
corpse?
books?
No,
Because I had a friend who had a book
Yes.
that had all. Yeah. Do you think it might
Yeah.
have been
So
him?
what I'm seeing is his works often dealt with themes such as death, corpses, and sometimes dismembered portions thereof.
Yes, I think
Often
that I
featuring
saw this.
ornately decorated photography models, including people with dwarfism, transgender, and intersex persons, as well as people living with a range of physical features.
So it wasn't just dead people, though. He just liked weird.
Just weird.
Yeah, he was like Meat Yard, but different.
Yeah,
Miar
just-
was more of his family, but
Yeah.
that's interesting. I'm curious, like, about the dead people. Like, do you get permission? Do you show up at a funeral? Do you, like, have a thing on, like, the town? Be like, hey, if someone dies, make sure to let me know. I want to dress them up. Like, the logistics of that, I'm more curious about than the actual.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah.
And
The
he
actual
has
photography.
he has a twin brother named Jerome.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Joel and
Is he
Jerome.
also a fan of corpse photography?
Yeah,
Dressing
maybe.
them up?
He's like probably completely different. Like, I don't know what's up with my brother.
Maybe they work together. Maybe he's like the funeral home director. And
I don't know. Interesting guy, worth looking up.
yeah, fun. So anyway, so lots of, dead people type photography that exists. And obviously there's forensic. You have police
Right.
Yeah.
and forensic photography, which is absolutely a thing. I got a camera from the Mesa. Was it Mesa? The Mesa Police Department. I have a twin lens reflex that came straight from there.
Ooh.
And I was like, ooh, the things you've seen
Right.
Yeah.
from the traffic, the Department of Transportation or whatever.
Well, when I took photo classes at MCC, they have a fairly reputable like law enforcement classes, and I'd say about a quarter of the students were in it to take crime scene photo.
Oh, wow.
Like, well, I guess you got to take I was going to take a picture of a tree, but that's cool.
Take a picture of a car slammed into a tree.
Right, you got to learn somewhere. But yeah, it was kind of like, there was like this weird like quarter of the class, and they hung out and they did their own like crime scene cop photo club thing over. Just like, you guys,
Wow.
you guys stay over there. You're creeping me the fuck out.
I used to want to do that for a living, but it was during a time when I couldn't really afford college.
Yeah.
And I don't think you actually have to go to college, though. I think that
You could freelance that.
And you can also, I think they train you. They just train you.
You just show up and take a picture.
Well, digital's changed
all
a
you
lot
do.
of things.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, really, is that you just show up with your digital camera and they train you.
They're like, are you willing to do it? That's
Right.
really the only requirement.
Yeah.
Are you willing to do this? Yes. Okay, cool. You're in. Do it. Yeah, so interesting.
Yep.
And then the other thing that I was reminded because of the Time Life series, the very famous 80s series of books, Mysteries of the Unknown.
Oh, we
Time
used to
Life.
have those
Do you remember
books.
the commercials
I
for
remember
those?
it's in the book.
Amazing, those books. So I have one. I have the Psychic Powers book.
Nice.
Okay.
And I was flipping through it, and there was one that I came up and I had never heard of it before. And I'm like, how did I never not know about this one? It's Kirlian photography. And it was named after the guy that invented it. It was this Russian guy, and his Samoyan Kirlian was his name, and it was named after him. So it was really experiments with where photographic film was placed on top of electric conducting plates, and then a conductor was attached to either like a hand or a plant or just, whatever have you. And then the conductors were energized with high voltage power. And then they would create these photographic images, and they'd show like the silhouette of the image, but it would show an aura basically of light that would come out of them. And I was like, oh, and they're actually really pretty photos. When you look at them, they're like these really just kind of beautiful silhouettes with like just light kind of spewing off of them. And then I realized that there was David Bowie had a piece of this that was
That
really
makes
kind
so
of
much sense.
It does actually, and it's kind of hilarious. And he has actually in some of his albums. So in his Earthling album, he has some reproductions from some Kirlian photos that he himself had taken. And there's like he has a crucifix, and he has the imprints of his fingertips that are on there.
Oh, wow.
So he had been given, so everybody kind of knew Bowie was into like paranormal and just kind of
Right.
like that kind of weird type of thing. And there was a lady from UCLA that actually gave him one of the machines, because there's this very specific machine that you use to do this. And he took the photos that way. But the best part about the photos that he took were he has the photo beforehand and then the photo after he consumed mass amounts of cocaine.
Oh, wow.
And then he did it again. They are very different.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They do look very, very different.
Huh.
Which is really funny. I'm like, I like that Bowie, combined the cocaine along with his Kirlian photography. But he had, this was, I'll read what he actually said about it. So it was kind of interesting. The period I was totally immersed in banding like Kirlian energy, which is sort of like a force that you find around the entire body. It may explain the idea of auras and healers, the energy that they have. A woman doctor named Thelma Massa at the research department of UCLA, which was backed by the Pentagon to fund exploration of Kirlian energy and what they could do with it, because they heard Russians are investigating it. So she developed a machine and made me one, and that's my fingertip, you see. This is a blow up, and this is my fingertip, and that's all the energy that comes out of your fingertip if you take drugs or anything stupid like that. It looks like someone pulled out all your hair with great clumps of it are missing. So an extraordinary thing, that's my crucifix my father gave me, and the energy just kind of goes up. That sure is something.
Wow.
But I'm like, I like that he was like, let's see. Okay. Cocaine. I know I feel different on cocaine.
Always experimenting that
Yes, seriously. But I was like, okay. So you got to check those out. But Bowie has his own Kirlian photography, which is kind of amazing. But yeah, it kind of does like, when I look at that type of photography, that's what I think aura. Like, I'm like, oh, you actually really did kind of capture something. The aura photography that I see now and hear about, it really just seems like a filter on a camera that they put on, or expired film or something. It's not quite aura.
Expired film.
Yeah, like expired film will look like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's like microwaved or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, ooh, it's shifted colors. I'm like, it's 30 years old. I'm like, of course it shifted colors. That's not your aura. But I'd like to see one of those machines in person and try it out. Not without the cocaine part, but
Right.
maybe have like a cup of coffee before and after and see how different I look. You can get it going.
I love that coffee is your drug of choice.
I know. Even that I don't do. So I'd be like, woo. If anyone knows me, I have seltzer water and that's kind of it.
Before and after one Hershey's Kiss.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Stacy on stimulants. Let's watch out. So anyway, tonight we're doing the seance. So when I was researching seances and the proper way to do a seance, I came across a photographer and she's literally made it her life photography. And that's all she photographs is seances. She's been doing it the last 2 decades. So her name's Sharon Taggart. And she really gets in there. So she has like this incredibly extensive archive just full of spiritualists and mediums all around the world. And she goes to their seances and, readings, and she's there and she just documents the process. And she takes all these like kind of extraordinary photos of it. And I think that's really cool. I was like looking at it and I'm like, I actually ordered the book. I'm like, yeah, I think it comes tonight actually.
Ooh.
Nice.
Maybe-
Maybe that's what the Amazon person delivered.
Oh my gosh.
That would be amazing.
amazing.
I don't know if I would want photographs of that. I don't really need photographic proof because like we're going to do this and then we're not going to see anything really. And I'm going to be like, that was fun, hilarious. Probably nothing happened. But if somebody's taking photographs.
But you might see something.
I know.
I brought
Pixar didn't happen.
I know. So what we're going to do is that we're going to go and we're going to actually try to contact some dead photographers. And I have my Instax camera. The battery is almost dead on it. So we're going to see how many shots I can get. But while we're doing the seance, I'm going to actually take some photos as we're doing it. And we're hoping to capture some ghosts on photos. Maybe we'll get some of those orbs we were talking about.
Amazing.
So you never know what we might get. But the first person that we're actually going to talk about is Weegee.
Weegee.
Yeah. And Weegee kind of like sparked this whole thing. We were talking about Ouija and we're like, oh yeah, Ouija boards. And then we're like, oh, we should have a seance with Ouija, like on the Ouija board at the Halloween.
Ouija on Ouija.
Ouija on Ouija. That's where this came from. So if you don't know anything about Ouija, you should look them up because it's kind of cool. So speaking of people that were into the police photography and totally okay with dead people and crashes and things like that, that would be him. So Arthur Fellig was his name, or Feeling, it might be Feeling.
Fellig.
Fellig. I'm very bad with pronouncing
Fellig.
words, but Fellig. I think it's Fellig. So he was basically a photographer in New York City. He worked on the Lower East Side, and it was mostly through the late 20s, 30s, 40s. So this was a big time, a lot of crime. And his jam was nighttime photography and crime photography, anything involving like injuries or death, urban life. That was his jam. That's what he did. And he shot on a 4x5 speed graphic camera, which is the same camera that we actually shoot our booth on, which is a great camera. It's a press camera. And he always had his camera set at f/16 at 200th of a second. And he used flash bulbs at night. And he had a set focus of 10 feet. So he could get in and get out really quick because he had all of his settings kind of right there. Yeah. He brought a flashlight. So on occasion he would change it up. But for the most part, that was his settings. And he often would get to crime scenes very much ahead of the police. He would be there, get the photo, start working on it right away. Like he would be in and out. And it happened so much that observers started calling him a Ouija board because they're like, when this is going to happen, like, because you're here like before anyone else is, so and he actually took it as his professional name and he just spelled it out phonetically. So
Weegee.
Weegee. So it's Weegee. And so he just took it phonetically and took it from that. So he was kind of just always on the emergency services bands. And he would just listen to them all the time. And then he became very associated with the police. And he was he became the only New York freelance newspaper photographer with a permit to actually have the portable police band shortwave radio. So he had the radio with him constantly. And he also lived across the street from the police station.
Oh, wow.
Which also helped as well. But he sold his photos to tabloids, and Life magazine even has some in there, and all kinds of other agencies had them. So he knew it sold, and what sold was death and like urban
Death and destruction.
Like he knew that was the thing. Also, he was a little mobbed up. He was friendly with the mob. He was actually friends with Bugsy Siegel and Lucy Luciano.
Oh, Lucky Luciano.
Yes, he knew those guys. So he was kind of friends with those. His estimation was that he snapped over 5,000 murders over the course of his career.
Oh my gosh.
That was what his number was. It's funny, the International Center of Photography in New York City, they said perhaps only slightly exaggerated. It might not have been that many. But he does have a lot. Naked City is an amazing book. If you ever get a chance to check out Naked City with Weegee, it just has a lot of those photos in there. And it's really amazing, like the amount of crime that's in there.
Yeah.
But that was New York City was a very different place in the 30s and the 40s.
Right.
But yeah, Weegee. So
Ouija,
super
Ouija.
cool. So he'll be the first person that we try to contact. And we said we have the Ouija board and we have the pendulum spirit board as well. So we'll switch off between those. So what we'll do is we're going to put Dave and we're going to put Tonissa in charge of the boards. They're actually going to be working the boards. We're letting them get demoned.
And
I see what this is now.
I've got some smudge.
I'm not touching that. But so what we're going to do is we're going to go through a few different photographers and we're going to ask them questions, and we're going to keep it pretty much yes or no questions because that's probably the easiest to work with, especially if you guys you're not with us, you're just listening to us. And we'll see what some of these dead photographers have to say, but we'll start with Weegee and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Sound good, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so on to the seance portion. All right, guys, hope you're excited.
I am.
All right,
Yeah.
so we're going to invite the spirits, whoever that might be. Can invite them into our home now, and we're welcoming you, and we're keeping our ears open, our minds open.
Welcome,
And-
spirits. Come on in.
I feel mildly concerned.
Only the good spirits, please.
Right? Only
we
nice
prefer
ones.
the nice ones. We're nice people here. We love inviting nice people. But specifically, we're going to start maybe asking some of you that are out there, that we know, maybe if you could come and join us, that'd be pretty cool.
But also, if any of the taxidermy in here starts speaking, I'm out.
There's a little bit of taxidermy in our house.
Yeah.
If I had to count it all up, I don't know what that number would be.
A lot. Sure, a lot of dead things in here.
It'd probably be, it's more than 10. It's probably around 30-ish.
It'll just be the squirrel butt that comes back to life.
Actually, might be more than
Squirrel butt.
30-ish if you count like individual bones and animals. Yeah, so if any of that comes to life. But, you welcome the weird into your home if you become acclimated to it. And it's not so spooky anymore. So it's okay. But we would prefer to not have some evil spirits. We like to have some nice ones. I think the first one that we were talking about inviting in would be Weegee.
Ouija.
And then he's been gone for a while. It's bad form to invite anyone into your home that's recently dead on any of these boards. So I think you got to let them be. They have to kind of find their way before you can invite them. These guys are more established. They've been dead a long time. Maybe they have a little more time on their hands. They can come over here to Phoenix and but time means nothing to them. Location means nothing to them. So they're omnipresent, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're inviting them here. So we have our spirit board, and we're going to have Dave and Tonissa running the spirit board. And then also we'll switch over to the other spirit board that's just the pendulum. And then that's a one person that someone touches.
It's like a scry, really.
Yeah. So, I think the first that we're going to start with is the spirit board, and then we'll switch over to the other board. So this is going to take the cooperation of Dave and Tonissa to touch the spirit board.
Okay.
All right.
And I believe the first person we're going to contact is Weegee.
Weegee.
I think we're going to go with the yes/no questions, but spirit, if you feel like telling us something else, feel free. We're not going to control you.
Yeah.
But we'll keep it easy for you by asking yes/no questions. So,
Weegee, are you with us?
and if anyone's ever used
I'm not.
if anyone's ever used a Ouija board before, it's basically you have a planchet and it's on a board. I have a different board than a Hasbro board. It's it has the alphabet. It has yes/no questions on it. It also has all the numbers. It also has a goodbye to it. And then the folks that are touching it, they want to touch that as lightly as possible.
I'm pretty little on this.
And then that will move as needed. So we're asking Arthur Fellig,
Arthur Fellig,
Weegee,
Mr. Weegee.
have you been able to join us tonight?
Weegee, are you here?
Don't whisper. That's
Okay, we can also ask,
not doing anything.
is there a spirit that is with us tonight? Yes or no?
Weegee, are you here?
He might not be, but someone else might. I want to make sure we're centered on the board there. We don't touch nothing. Nobody's hanging out. Well, they might be more receptive to the other board.
Okay.
All right, let's get the pendulum out. Looks like we're putting Tonissa in charge of it 'cause she's the most scared of it.
Yeah,
So it makes
apparently.
sense. So we're going to ask that as well. So do we have a spirit in the home with us currently?
It's swinging towards the nose.
It's kind of, yeah.
Wow, it really started moving a lot. I don't like that.
It's like, it's like kind of in between no and maybe. Like,
It's circling the board. And then these boards are a lot different where they have the numbers, they have the alphabet, but it's in a circular position. So they have the yes, no, maybe. They also have an unknown. And then they have actually your signs and the moon phases on it as well. It's a little more complicated, but it's in a circular motion. So Tonissa, maybe you have to be the one to ask if we have a spirit with us. As you are holding it.
Do we have a spirit with us in the room? Stop it. Is it really moving towards the yes?
Look at that. It's like a little magnet.
I'm really not moving it, you guys.
So I think
Someone's with us.
I think we were getting a little movement there. So I
Okay.
think we might have somebody here. So we're hoping we have a photographer with us.
Yes.
All right, let's pretend it is Weegee. Let's just assume and hope that it's Weegee. So what would we want to ask Weegee?
Well, I would be curious if... It's a good question to ask Weegee.
We just talked about him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you got
There we
one,
go.
Dave?
Dave's got one.
Did he ever meet anybody he shot the photo of dead?
Oh.
Did you meet any of his clients?
Oh. Did you know them prior to dying? That's a good one.
It's sort of moving around, but not pointing at anything.
Yeah. It's kind of swinging towards no.
Oh, yeah. It is now.
That?
I think
I
we
swear
have.
I'm not trying to move it. But I might also be kind of shivering a bit. So, I don't know.
You just need to clear your mind and let it do. Technically, I think you're not supposed to be looking whenever you do a lot of these, whenever you're controlling the board, if I'm not mistaken. And if you hear the noise that's in the background there,
Stacy's taking
That's
some...
Lay Polaroid.
we're taking some photos, seeing what we get, because you never know. Maybe the spirits are here, but they're just hiding out a little bit.
Maybe they're creeped out by the Charlie McCarthy doll.
We have a couple of Charlie McCarthy dolls that are in the home, but I did keep the one in my trunk there for the longest time, but that was more of a theft deterrent, because I think people are, in general, they're afraid of puppets in your car. They're like, I don't know if I want to get in this car. It looks questionable. All right. So any questions other than that for Ouija's? Anyone have any?
I was still all holding the pendulum.
Dave, would you like to switch over?
I
to
don't want to share all the
switch it
weirdness.
over.
Yeah.
Okay.
See if they can.
And Dave, I think
through
Dave's
Dave.
had some questions. I think one of your questions was for Vivian Mayer.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk about who Vivian is for those that don't know?
I'm on a Vivian kick lately. I discovered her a couple weeks ago, just kicking around looking for photographers to like read up on, and so I watched the documentary.
Yeah.
And I'm just really mesmerized by not only her work but the story itself. And there's this great question now of like her work existing in a vacuum and not being disturbed of, she just got to take photos and exist without somebody worrying about like how many likes they got. Because like I feel like I'm a pretty good photographer, and then like one of my crap photos will get 66 likes, and one of like my bangers will get like 34 that I'm like
Yeah, you never know what people are going to be into. Yeah.
I don't know what's fucking going on. So she just got to create and exist, and then her death wasn't pleasant. She was kind of like penniless and poor, but like the work lives on after being discovered posthumously. And it's kind of like almost like photos Emily Dickinson.
Right. Yeah.
Just like, no, just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. Except Emily wanted all of her work burnt.
Yeah.
And somebody's like saved it at least. So, so I've been really intrigued by her story and just how good she was without being known, and that's somewhat attractive to me. So I can just pretend I'm Vivian then instead of
Yeah, she was just kind of doing her own thing, and she was like, I always say shine on crazy diamond, because she was not quite there according to the stories that people have about her, and just sounds like she had a little bit of a violent streak as well. She was a little abusive to some children that she watched. She took them in some situations that they probably shouldn't have been in. She took pictures
Sounds like my cousin.
She took pictures of stuff that was very raw.
Her stuff is very raw.
She wasn't afraid. She also shot with a twin lens reflex. She had a Rolly, and that helped her a little bit with that, because you shoot that from the hip, and you're not quite as invasive with that kind of camera. But that was sort of her camera, and the guy that found all of these negatives that were stored away, she really didn't get a lot of them developed. She would just kind of stuff things away into boxes, and eventually it was all found by a gentleman in the, I'm going to say, early 2000s. Was that when that was?
Yeah.
And kind of was like, what is this?
Right.
Kind of amazing. And that's why the documentary is called Finding Vivian Mayer. There's even dispute on her last name, like what her last name actually was.
Right.
If she was French, there was a possibility that she maybe wasn't even French, and she told people she was. Just a lot of very strange things with a very strange lady. And she may have had some mental illness just from things.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask, I guess, what we asked first, if she's here, right?
Yeah, let's see if Vivian's with us.
All right, Vivian, are you with us? What do we get? It's a little towards yes. We got a little yes?
No, I think that's towards no.
That's towards no? Okay. I wanted to meet Viv. Can I call her Viv? Oh no, I'm getting a no on that.
Wow.
She is upset.
She's
okay.
like,
She's
are you
sassy.
kidding me?
Must be the full name.
For somebody who's not here, she reacted to.
Don't you dare.
She's like, who's in my DMs right now?
Wow.
Who's up
Is
in my
it you, Dave?
DMs?
So I slipped into
you again.
Vivian Bayer's DMs. That's pretty cool. Wow, I don't feel like fucking with her now. I'm just gonna put this down, and then we're good.
He's a little afraid. He's like,
that's
None of that big
no.
nonsense.
She's like, as soon as Vivian like puts you in your place, you're like, you know what?
Well, I think I just got nannied.
Oh my God.
Seriously, I think she said that like some of the kids that she looked after said that she hit them. Like she was pretty aggressive.
I believe it.
But her work was amazing. So, you know, the good with the bad, right? I mean, most artistic people tend to have a little bit of different
Yeah.
to
A
them.
little bit of different.
There's a little bit of
like that.
different. So, you know, sometimes that's in varying degrees. And she was certainly, looking back at her photography, an amazing photographer. So it's wonderful that she came into the world. It's kind of interesting, like that one other person would have found that stuff, or just
Anyone else, they might have just chucked it all.
yeah,
Right.
It took someone that was like, just like, what is this? And really took the time to like go into it and take a look. So, and brought it to the world. So it's just interesting, like such amazing work almost wasn't seen by any of us. And we wouldn't have even been sitting here talking about her today.
Right. Yeah.
So
Think of that with so many different aspects of history
Oh,
about
yeah.
technology and just like so much learning that is lost because it was never.
Somebody was working in a vacuum in their home.
Yeah.
Like somebody might have discovered microchips before the people we know discovered them, because they were just tinkering in their garage or whatever, and they didn't know where to take it or who to show it to. Right.
yeah, we were talking about that with our last couple podcasts have been like that. So we're kind of going through the history of, so we have Nessa Ford and a piece that we went through, and then we talked about Louis Daguerre. And then we went into the last podcast with the last photographer was Talbot, William Henry Talbot, Fox Talbot. And all of them sort of fell into what they found. And it's interesting because it's like, how many people maybe were before them that actually did it? But we don't know. Maybe they had a house fire and they caught on fire too, and all their stuff caught on fire. Like, it's like, it could have been, photography could have been invented way before we think it was invented, because someone could have had it and just never came out with it, and we never saw it. So there's probably a lot of life that's like that. But it's interesting when you know that it was like so close to not actually seeing it. But Vivian's one of those rare ones where, you know, it was after she was gone by quite a bit that she was gone, because she died. When did she die? Like she was 80. Oh, it was kind of recent.
Yeah,
it wasn't even all that long ago.
And the guy collected all the negatives right after he found out about her. Right after.
Yeah, she died on a bench.
Yeah,
in a park. Apparently talked to herself.
Same as Poe.
Didn't look so good. Yeah, Poe had some mysterious circumstances on his as well.
He did like absinthe.
Yep.
He did love his accent.
That might have something to do with it. It might have helped. I technically have some of that here at the house, I think, if anyone's feeling it. I think we have some. Yeah. The green stuff.
I think it's gross. It tastes like licorice.
It is licorice. If you don't like licorice, you're not going to like absinthe. For sure. But yeah, Vivian's a good one. So we're gonna let Vivian go, because I think it's creepy. Dave got yelled at by Vivian tonight.
That was a firm
Don't call Vivian Mayer Viv. Things she really doesn't like. If she's upset about her last name, the first name is apparently nicknames are out.
Right.
So what other dead photographers would you love to go back to and actually have a sit down and talk to? Like, who exists there where you're like, man, it'd be cool to be in a room with him? Like, who would we have a podcast with?
Would Meat Yard be one?
Meat Yard would be in my list. I want to do a separate podcast on Meat Yard. Meat Yard was kind of amazing. He was a guy from Kentucky, and he took photos of his family, but they looked deranged. So he would set them up in very odd situations, and they just black and white, very stark, there's a mood there for sure.
With masks.
He'd put very strange masks on his children, and they would look very just odd. Yeah. And yeah, Meat Yard is a great name. But yeah, Meat Yard would be pretty cool to talk to. And I think a deep dive would definitely be in order for a Meat Yard conversation.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to, if you could talk to Man Ray and show him Photoshop.
Yeah.
Because he did all that before any of that. And who knows what would have existed before somebody said, like, man, I really wish I had an eyeball in this cloud.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
I'm curious what a lot of those photographers would think of, modern tools. We did this with Dave Dupree. We talked about it a little bit because he was kind of on that. He was one of the first people to use Photoshop ever. And I know Dave was like talking about that. And it's just interesting, like all the things that they were doing analog that went, or manual. and they went into the digital world and they went into Photoshop, and if they would like embrace it or they would still be doing what they were doing anyway. And someone like Man Ray, he was so experimental with a lot of his work, and makes me think that he'd probably embrace both, but who knows? I mean, you talk to them, maybe they're like, nah, I mean, I like, I don't like digital stuff. I don't like, anytime I have to get into Photoshop and do stuff, I'm like, oh, God damn. Like, it just doesn't feel satisfying in any way, shape, or form because of that. It's not tangible, but everybody's so different.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, like Ansel Adams might have loved HDR photography.
Yeah.
Just makes my skin crawl.
Oh, let's hope not. That's a question. Can we ask Ansel?
I ain't touching that fucking thing.
It's back to me. All right, so we're asking Ansel.
Ansel, what do you like HDR photography? Because he's dead, but he's aware of what's going on nowadays, right?
Yeah. He's omnipotent. Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, is that a yes?
That's a
I
yes.
think it's a yes.
Oh.
That's a strong yes.
Yeah, it's really moving.
All right.
Oh, what the hell, Ansel?
Ansel
Sell out.
wouldn't have thought.
Sell out, stop. Let people like what they like.
Dave, you're going to get haunted by all
You
these
are going to get haunted.
You're better off dead,
I support
Ansel.
you, Ansel.
The rest of us love you, Ansel. We're not. That's a thought, though. Some people, I mean, it wouldn't exist if people didn't like it.
Yeah, and I shoot with a digital most of the time because it was the first camera that I owned, right? That I officially owned and wasn't like my mom's camera that I took, right?
Yeah.
But what I got a mirrorless, and I don't like the mirrorless because it feels even further removed than the digital. And I mean, if you look back, even at my social media, I used to post photographs all the time, and now I haven't been shooting very much because I don't love my mirrorless camera. And I don't know if maybe I still have to get used to it or what, but the thing about when I do shoot, though, I try my hardest to make the photo the way I want it in camera so that I don't have to use a lot of Photoshop.
Right.
And sometimes when I'm doing those long exposures and I swipe the camera around and move the camera around, sometimes I do have to adjust the lighting a little bit in Photoshop. I just have to kind of like, I don't know, dehaze it a little.
Yeah.
But that's usually it. I maybe touch 2 or 3 sliders and then I'm done. And I try not to have to like really go in there and really like do a lot of manipulation.
Yeah. Well, like Ansel would spend like 8 hours on a print.
Yeah.
Right.
Like who knows if he would have spent 16 hours in Photoshop.
Yeah, it's just not my favorite thing.
He's such a perfectionist with his photography. Like, I feel like he would embrace it, and not only embrace it, you would be seeing like, I can kind of see him liking that just because like he wanted it to be like right on the money of what he thought it should look like. So
it probably would have driven him insane.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like, where's the perfection? Yeah. Like, how far can I go like to get this perfect? And what's that look like to Ansel Adams?
Right.
True. I don't know.
Did he do color? That's a stupid
did.
question.
My
But
question-
I feel like I never really saw a lot of his
He
color
did-
work.
Most of his color work was the commercial stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
it
That's
didn't end
why.
up in his books or
Right.
the shows, but
Yeah.
that
I
was
was going to say, I never remember seeing a lot of color out of.
They had some at the Phoenix Art Museum at one point because they had a big exhibition. And so they had all the famous ones and then they had some of the color ones.
Was that the one where you showed all the different stages? Like
Yeah,
they all
there
look different from one negative. Yes.
Yeah,
Was it the
exactly.
negative? It was called The Negative, I think, the show.
Oh, was it? I don't remember what it's called.
I think it might have been. I might be wrong on that. But yeah,
There's
was
a book that he wrote called The Negative.
maybe I'm getting
and the print.
confused.
And
I feel like the show was called The Negative, but we could look it up. But
are you positive about that?
negative. I am not positive about that.
oh, the Ouija board's moving to no. Stop it.
No, but that was a great show because it was a really good example of, because I think that a lot of people don't realize that they think film, you just take film and they don't think you can adjust it as much as you can.
I was watching somebody was showing their darkroom procedure on Instagram, and it was a reel, and she was dodging, and somebody, like, the first comment was like, how many of you just saw dodging in real life for the first time? And so it had like 2,000 likes on that comment because nobody had ever seen that before.
Yeah, people want to. Dan has a doll now. Let's all be.
He does have this creepy
I'm having
ventriloquist doll.
Help bring the spirits in.
Dan now has a ventriloquist doll. I'm probably gonna have to take a photo of that. There's probably a big spirit hanging out with it. Listen to this.
That camera's noisy.
Sounds like the end of our podcast. That has that same sound.
We're not done yet, you guys. We're not done.
Yeah, don't get scared. That's something. He's bringing in the spirits with the doll. That's actually a very old doll, so who knows? That doll could be possessed. I try to be as nice as possible to the dolls that are in my home. I sound like a doll person. I'm not. I have 2 dolls in my home, but they're both like Charlie McCarthy's, but the one is significantly older than the other one, and I try to treat them with the utmost respect and love because just in case.
Well, the way this one's eyes are painted, it looks like it's looking at me.
Yeah.
Hello, Tonissa.
Right, and he's actually wearing a button that's a photo from the 1800s, late 1800s.
Oh,
It's
wow.
a photo button that he has on right now on his little lapel.
I'm giving him a
That's
little
cool.
back massage.
See,
Nice.
that's what we're talking about. We
be
keep her
nice.
nice. We keep the nice spirits in. We don't want the bad ones in here.
Well, like Lucy's a part of my dark room.
Yeah, you have the Lucy doll.
Yeah. She just hangs out by the enlarger and she just watches me work. And
She gets her photo taken every once in a while too. If you ever go into Dave's Instagram, you see a little bit of Lucy pop up every once in a while.
I use her just sparingly enough to, like, it's kind of the Spanish Inquisition on my feed. I'll take 40 landscape photos, trees, whatever, rivers, blank, and then doll, just creepy doll.
Surprise!
Surprise, creepy doll.
Surprise! Surprise!
Creepy dolls are great. I have another one that is in our storage facility. I haven't actually brought her out. She's like, I think her arms fell off, but she's looking real rough. She's been abused a little bit in our storage facility, but I've taken some photos of her. I took a pinhole of her on Grand Avenue that looks pretty rad, actually.
She has a choker.
She has a choker. Yeah, well, her head fell off. So
What?
Her head broke off, and I taped it back with electrical tape, and then she had her nipples out, and then I put nipple tape on.
Yep.
And then I realized she looks like a bondage child. And I was like, that doesn't look like I wanted it to look. Like, I'm into weird, but I'm not that weird. So now she's in our storage container. Once again, also probably to prevent theft. We accidentally left our storage container unlocked when we went away. We went camping and we got a whole bunch of stuff out and we accidentally left it unlocked. And the storage people called us and were like, hey, did you know you're unlocked there? And nothing was gone. And I'm wondering if it wasn't for the doll that was literally standing there wearing the tape on her, like with no arms. Her arms have fallen off. Like they're like, nope. So who else would we get in contact with? I think we've found out more than we wanted to know about Ansel in the modern world. I didn't want to know that. We've offended Vivian. I feel like we need some people.
I was looking at Deanne Arbus, but I don't know what questions to ask. I have too many deep questions that are not yes or no.
Yeah, we need to have a deep dive on her as well. I have a book that I opened up at the first page, but it's like a 500-page book. So I am definitely got some reading to do about Diane.
I've got a question for her.
Awesome.
Because she got a lot of her influence, from my understanding, or some of her influence from Weegee. So my question is, did she have a crush on Weegee?
Oh, he had an interesting look, but you don't have to look good to have a crush on somebody.
Okay, so
Yeah, you never know.
Deanne Arbus, did you have a crush on Weegee? It says unknown. Do you see that?
It might be another spirit with us and they don't know for sure.
Interesting. Okay, putting this back down.
That thing is creepy as hell.
I don't like it. Because it feels like I'm not moving. I don't think I'm moving.
I didn't feel anything. And then it was like,
And it seems to give, answers that we think are reasonable.
Nice. She might have had a crush on him. I don't know. I think she just respected his work. Okay. I think that might have been.
Perhaps she had a professional crush.
Are there any like famous couple photographers out there that like it's a husband and wife team minus
us? But we're just not famous yet.
We're not famous.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I don't think we're famous for our photography necessarily. That's true. I don't think really famous.
Famous for shenanigans.
I mean, a couple people know us, but I don't think that
Dave and Tonissa know us.
Dave and Tonissa know us, so I mean, but I don't think that counts.
That's true.
So
we do know you.
What about Georgia O'Keeffe?
Yeah.
George O'Keeffe, yeah.
Yeah, and Stieglitz, yeah.
There we go. That counts.
But he
there.
didn't paint.
No, she wasn't really a photographer. But
I was
still.
Confused. I was like, am I missing something?
Did
Was
she ever take
also-
photos? Did they ever dabble in both?
I would assume she took a photo.
You would think there would be a little bit of that. That's like we were talking about when Henry Talbot and his wife Constance, she did photography as well because he was doing it.
Yeah. What
So
about
she joined in.
Anna?
Atkins.
Yes.
That's true. Anna Atkins and her husband, and she had they all
They were
knew
the
each other.
cyanotype people.
It's so funny how they all know each other.
Yeah. A lot of Weston's mistresses were photographers.
Nice.
Ouch.
Noise.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I don't know of a lot of like couples, but like as far as artist couples though, I mean, you do get a lot of those. I mean, but artists kind of attract artists as well. So you get that with like what's her name with the eyebrow?
Frida Kahlo.
Sorry, Frida.
Frida.
I
You always keep saying Frida.
couldn't remember your name there. I just remember your eyebrow.
We've been canceled.
By the dead people.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
We die, we're in trouble. We got to face all these folks.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
So, Dave, I think you had a question for George O'Keeffe, or no, for
Stieglitz.
For Stieglitz.
But, yeah, I'm creeped out by that thing.
You want me to ask it for you?
I'm good, yeah.
All right, I'll ask it.
Yeah.
Well, you ask it.
Okay, well, I guess I'll ask it, but I'm not holding that thing.
Nice. I'm really glad that I'm not the only wimp in the room.
No, that is just weird.
All right, so I'm gonna hold it. Dave's gonna ask his question.
Okay, so I'm asking Stieglitz, is it cool if I call him Mr. Georgia O'Keeffe?
It's moving in a full circle. What is
I
that?
have no idea.
It's
Do you think that's angry?
Yeah, maybe a little angry. Oh, no, that's a no.
Nope, now it's
No,
on
that's a
no.
That's
It's
a straight
definitely
up
going
no.
to no.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, it's weird, right?
It doesn't really feel like you're moving it. It's just you're holding it, and then
And
it's
then-
just
and then it's
and it
doing
feels like
things.
it's pulling a little.
Yeah.
That is a little
I also
disturbing.
felt
Yeah,
that. I
that is-
didn't
that
like
is
it.
creepy as hell, man.
The only husband and wife photography teams that Google is telling me about are like modern ones, people like wedding photographers and stuff.
The wedding photographers is a big thing. That's a
Yeah.
common thing. But then again, you think wedding photographers, if your spouse is gone every single weekend, like all the time, if you ever want to see them, you better join
Better
up.
join up. Yeah.
I know Dan and I, like we do all our events together. I can't imagine if we were doing all these events separate. I'd never see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be wild.
Yeah, because we're always like in the lab doing classes or in their lab for open hours or the booth or whatever. And
Yep.
I would literally never see you anymore.
Where is he? He's in the dark room. Again.
But we share the passion of this, so
Yes.
which you kind of have to sometimes with some of this stuff.
Maybe we'll be on a podcast in the future when some other kids,
I think we're on a podcast right now.
but like a future podcast.
Yeah, future podcast.
We'll be summoned.
Your face, you're like, but like a future.
Oh, I see.
Somebody be like, hey,
We'll come back.
get Stacy and Dan on the podcast.
I will gladly go as a ghost onto someone's podcast. I'll put that out there on the record, so you guys can. I'll try to haunt you. I know. What was it? Houdini? Who was it that said that they would come back to haunt their wife?
What?
There was somebody that said that they would, and
That sounds like it.
I'm in for a
if
little friendly haunting.
They're
Like, I would
they're
like to haunt
if
someone.
I can, I will show up at like the seance, but nothing happened. So she was like, it's not real. But they're like, because they promised, like, I'll try if I can.
I would
you can
tickle
see it.
people.
Maybe they couldn't
Tickle
figure it
people.
out.
Dan's
I love
like,
that.
ew, Dan's just being a creepy toucher.
It's okay because they're ghost finger. It's different. It's kind of consenting. No?
I don't like any of this line of thought.
If they seanced you, then, a little touching.
It's a
I don't
little
know.
tickle. Dan,
I'd be hugging people, probably. I would be like, I miss hugging.
I'm a little concerned about Dan. I mean, tickling people.
It'd be a good old time. Everybody would be happy.
Good old time.
Who knew?
Dan, I
learn-
didn't know this about you.
I know, you learn something every day.
Ghost tickler.
Ain't nothing more friendly than some ghost tickles.
No, I feel a little bit dirty. Oh, I almost knocked over the Ouija board. That's such bad luck.
Oh, man. So
Good times.
hope Dan lives forever.
Yep.
Good times. Noodle
I mean, I
salad.
guess I'll take one for the team there, babe. You can come back and tickle me. But I don't know if you want to be tickling other people. You're going to end up on a ghost list.
A ghost list, a ghost watch list.
They have ghost lists. It's like you
Do they
start
really?
you start haunting in weird ways. No, if you're a ghost, they on the other side they have a list that they keep you on. If you're like a weirdo about your ghosting,
Yeah.
you did some weird stuff. We're
Juno
watching
is
after
watching you. She knows if you did
Yep.
weird stuff.
Yep.
I'll keep my fingers to myself.
Thank you. Nice.
Well, any other questions?
I don't know.
I don't think I have any more.
Yeah.
Dan hasn't touched the board yet.
No, yeah, you should at least
Yeah.
do it. You need to do it once.
Yeah.
And
You
then never
come over
touch
here with
that
this
damn thing.
thingamajig.
We're sending Dan in. He's been avoiding it this whole time,
That's
probably
true.
on
He's
purpose.
sitting the furthest away from it.
He's like, not gonna. He's like, I don't want to touch it. What are we gonna ask? We can ask some general questions. We can ask the spirits about photography in the past. We don't need a specific
Whoa.
person. I think we're trying to ask a lot for trying to get specific people. Maybe they're busy. They're on other podcasts right now.
They are busy.
It's Halloween. People are contacting dead people all over the place on Halloween. So
I'm sure it's probably the busy season.
It is the busy
totally the busy
season.
season. So we have to take what we can get as far as people. So if we're just asking for a general photographer, what would we ask a photographer from the past? Somebody that's, from the 1800s.
Ooh.
What would you ask them? Some late 1800s. Photography's kind of new. They're out there making their tintypes, maybe doing a little daguerreotype work. Oh man, we don't know. We don't have questions.
Everybody's a little bit lost.
We're bad. All right. Maybe we can have them just tell us something. So put your hand on that spirit board.
This one?
Yeah. All three of you.
All right, here we go.
We'll see if they'll just tell us something.
I just
'Cause
like
we do have
this.
letters on this, so we'll get away from the yes, no, and maybe we just have them say, and 2 fingers on each.
Dan's
Got one. You want to go as light as possible? Mm-hmm. And we're going to see if somebody's here with us and will tell us something.
It's still not moving. It's the pendulum thing. That's working.
We're seeing what we can get. So far, nothing is moving. I think Dan possibly scared off the ghost with his touching. Oh, wait. I see some moving. Dave
That's
has...
an F. That was an F.
Dave left. Dave took off.
Dave is gone.
It moved.
Dave
And
has left the chat.
What's happening now? Is it moving?
Yeah,
So
that was totally moving. Goodbye.
it said F8. It did not. I'm taking my hand off it.
No, it's.
I'm done.
You're straight. It's straight
done.
up pulled to goodbye. The ghosts have left the chat. It's.
so it moved to the goodbye,
Goodbye.
and Dave let go.
Yep.
And then it kept going, but it did go over the goodbye. I think Dan's touching scared them off.
They were like, "Yo, we're out."
They're out. Yeah.
Hey,
I
everybody's
think-
the ghost tickler. Get out of here. Stop it.
We had like a whole lineup at the door. They finally arrived and they're like, nope. There's
Just kidding. We heard about this tickling guy.
this tickly guy in there. He wants to tickle you. Did you hear about that?
He's giving us ghosts a bad reputation.
So I don't know. Are we successful at our
I'm
seance?
successfully creeped out.
Right.
Well, I think that gets something.
Yeah.
Oops. Just kidding. That was me. That was me, everyone.
And then we'll have to check out our photography. I took some photos, so I'm going to take a look at those right now and see if we got any specters. Interesting. This one's got a very dark section above Dave's head.
Yeah, that's Viv.
Oh.
That's
Viv getting mad at Dave.
That may
Vivian.
have been Vivian. That's above him. I'm not sure. Actually, it was a weird dark spot. And then we just have Dan the tickler in another photo. He's
This is your
tickling.
new nickname.
Yeah, the tickler.
He's tickling the doll. As far as I can see, there's nothing strange there. And there's another one without the doll. I don't see anything strange on that one either. All right, let me see this other one. We got one of Dave being creeped out.
By me, the tickler.
But I don't see anything unusual in that one. So I don't think we got any ghosts. I can look at this under better light later. We're under candlelight now. But I don't think we got any. No ghosts came to get us. It's kind of like when we were asking for the aliens. I think it's one of those things where you have to not be looking for it and it comes to you.
Right. You can't play hard to get them.
Yeah.
Can't be asking for them.
Ghosts don't like that. They just want to,
They just want to be, do their thing.
Exactly. But we made the effort.
Yeah.
But yeah, photography can be creepy.
Maybe they didn't like the particular incense.
Oh,
It could have been like, oh,
That's not my smell.
it's not gluten free,
gluten-free
free
incense.
smells.
vegan, cage free.
Cage-free incense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think Vivian would be very... Actually, she made pretty good money, I think. She probably did eat pretty well. She was...
Yeah.
I feel like she was like one of me. Like I'm a picky eater not by choice, but I feel like she'd be a person that ate like 3 things and that's it all the time. I'm just assuming.
Maybe she ate children.
Wow, that went all the way.
Dan's a weird guy tonight.
Perhaps a ghost has gotten a hold of you.
We didn't think about possession.
Yeah.
There could be there could be possession happening here.
Nope.
Dave and Tonissa are just out.
Yeah. Like, see y'all.
Start foaming at the mouth.
And we did have Dave and Tonissa using the boards. They didn't seem very happy with the tip of the boards moving.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope. Back to being an atheist. Nope.
I'll be sleeping with every light in the house on tonight.
But we certainly encourage people to go out and try your own spirit photography. Go into a graveyard. There's not enough people going out in graveyards and snapping away. I miss taking photos in graveyards. I never did it at night though. I
never did it at night either. Yeah.
I was a daytime photographer in the graveyard. I mean, nice stones and
Only
stuff.
because some of them were like I went to one in Westlake, Ohio. That's also a botanical garden. And so you go there. It's actually set up for you to be able to go there and, enjoy the scenery, basically.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of really cool sculptures in there.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people forget that cemeteries used to be basically public gathering spaces.
Right.
People would go and have picnics with your dead relatives and have a nice time. Like
Right.
East Coast, there's a lot of that. Not so much
Yeah.
here in Phoenix, but yeah, that's a nice place to go. I mean, why not? You're dead. They're dead, but they're not dead to you. I mean, no one really
Right.
dies if someone remembers who you are. So
That was very nice.
it's true. You're not dead. If someone remembers you, you're not dead.
Yeah.
So why not go out and have it? But yeah, spirit photography is cool. Who knows what you might get on there if you don't get just cemetery. But I always like going through and just taking pictures of the interesting stones and just seeing, a little bit about somebody's life, and you get to remember them for just a moment. And I'd like to think that, I'm not planning on being buried, but I'm hoping people remember me, but I'm dead.
I'll remember you.
Thanks. Thanks, guys.
I'll probably die first, so yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that. I think it might be Dan.
I'll just leave a trunk full of photos.
We'll make sure you get famous right after you die.
Right.
Right after. And we'll make all the money from it. And we're like, thanks, Dave. So cool of you to like leave us all this.
Be the only person that shows up to your postmortem show.
So we can photograph it.
Your ghost. You're like, where is everybody? Sucks in the afterlife too.
It's weird to think that the photos we take today may be looked at somebody years and years from now when we're totally gone and they see a whole different appreciation for them that we don't even see now or no one else sees in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we maybe see it as mundane, but then someone else in the future, it might not be mundane anymore for various reasons. And
Yeah,
look
I mean,
at this is amazing. And like, oh my God, they caught that. And
sometimes I think that social media spaces can become like moratoriums, right? Like, especially, I mean, it's happening now when people pass away and somebody keeps their social media alive,
Yeah, the
right?
page keeps going.
The page keeps going.
Yeah, you'll get like memories popped up.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. So, I mean, at some point, it's possible that if people stop using social media altogether, but they don't necessarily delete their accounts, and anybody whose account is public can be looked at by anybody else and then, you know, archived or something.
Creepy.
Yeah. Facebook, you can send timed messages. And there was someone on there who had sent made a message for a year from now, right? He had timed it, but had died in an accident. And so then his Facebook sent out a message after he was gone.
oh God.
And people were really freaked out about it at first, and then they realized what happened. Because like he was joking around or something. And yeah. So
Yikes.
The modern world that we live in.
right.
The things that are possible. Oh, goodness. Well, I think we had a spooky night.
Yeah, I had a spooky night.
Dan, hey, at least somebody did. There we go. There, Dave self-admits. He's like, yep. It was Vivian. He was a little mad.
Yeah.
Vivian dissed him, so.
Yeah.
He said. But no, we had a good time.
Yep.
So thank you so much for joining us on this podcast.
The spooky podcast.
And then our
Halloween
next
edition.
Our next podcast to come up after this one, I think is this Frank Thorpe would be the next one?
I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe we'll see. We're not sure.
Maybe not. We have two other Ryans in the can as well.
We do. We have a lot of Ryans. Yeah, and we have a couple Daves too. So we're looking for the trifecta if you're a Dave and you're a photographer. Get another one in there, get another Ryan. We just want to go threes on everything. We're going to have a hard time finding Tonissas.
Yeah.
I don't know any Tonissas. I don't think I've ever met another Tonissa. So
I have.
I've met one. I met a Tonissa and a Tanisha.
Tanisha. That's not Tonissa though.
No,
it's different.
It is different. Thank you. It is different.
It is very different. That's a completely
Don't
different
like
name.
it when people call me that.
No Tanisha.
There are no H's in my name.
No.
But yeah, thank you guys for joining us for another podcast. And
Yeah.
we have many more coming.
Yep. Hope you had fun. Hope you have a spooky Halloween.
Yay.